Greetings, everyone. Good to see you. Got a little bit of a cold today, so my voice sounds a little bit funny, but I feel okay other than that. So let's get started on our questions here, and we will get rolling. So first question comes from Kelly Killingsworth. What podcast would you recommend listening to a service-based business? Kelly and Company. Kelco is an excavation company in Northern California. I would like to know what podcasts successful entrepreneurs listen to. Lately, I've been listening to podcasts while I drive and while on my downtime instead of music. Thank you for any suggestions you may have. That's a good question. I don't listen to podcasts in that way. What I actually like to listen to are a lot of like macroeconomic sort of stuff. Economics Explained is a good one. That's actually kind of my go-to economics one. Another guy who does fairly good kind of analysis is RJ Talks. And then another is the X22 Report. So those aren't really podcasts in kind of the traditional podcast sense. They're more like reporting and like talking about something specific and are usually like structured. But those are the ones I like. So Economics Explained, RJ Talks, and X22 Report. Demarius Tukes. What relationship, this is multiple questions. What relationships and where should I network in order to grow a mold inspection business? What are some different ways that I should go about marketing and getting new business? How do I know how much money to put into advertising and marketing without overspending and going into debt to do so? I have a list of realtors that I can text who are friends. How should I approach them to let them know about my new business without trying to sell them anything? What is the ratio or percentage of revenue to net profit for each business that I should be aiming for? I'm a licensed home inspector that just acquired my mold inspection license and certification. I started in Southwest Florida, Mold Pros, an environmental inspection company in mid-October. Okay, cool. Well, let's take each question one by one then. What relationships and where should I network in order to grow a mold inspection business? One of the things that I always notice is whenever you're talking about marketing, this is the same as the second question, what are some different ways that I should go about marketing, getting new business? The best way to start is, I think, is direct connections. When you're trying to figure out who your audience is and who you need to talk to, the very best way to do that is to talk to somebody face-to-face. And then that person face-to-face that you want to talk to are people who are ready to spend money now, right? Like, so not people just hypothetically that fit some sort of like concept, or like a lot of times people just go right into like demographics. Well, they're 40 years old and they own a house and blah, blah, blah. Like, but who cares? A lot of people are 40 years old and own a house. You've got to strike when the person actually wants to spend money, right? When they're actually having the issue. So, like one thing that just jumps to mind, you're talking about mold. Mold generally produces allergies. So I probably would want to go places where people are dealing with allergies, right? Just as one thought. If there's like some sort of allergy, like Facebook groups or support groups or people in person that you can actually talk to, like people get together, or if you have connections to like some of those allergy treatment centers or something, those might be great places to try to connect with those folks, because it's possible that those people will want to, do mold testing and then perhaps remediation if you find something, which if you're in Florida, you'll probably always find something if you look for it, I would think. So yeah, trying to find that demographic that actually wants to buy and actually has a problem now is kind of key. How do you know how much money to put into advertising and marketing without overspending and going into debt? I would say don't put any money into advertising and marketing until you know who you're advertising and marketing to. Do all of that one at a time, because a lot of times I do see people do that. They'll just start spending money, and unless you've got like millions and billions of dollars to spend and to burn, you're going to probably lose all your money before you actually can turn a profit. So make sure you know specifically who you're talking to, specifically what you're telling them, and then kind of inch your way into spending money on advertising, like where you're actually paying for ads, would be my recommendation. You have a list of realtors who are friends that you can approach. I would say start a new business party. Like basically say, hey, I'm celebrating my new business. Come out. We're going to have a barbecue. We're going to like hang out in the yard for the evening, go in the pool, whatever it is. invite them over in that context about your new business, since they're friends, as you said. And then they will be for sure remembering that you have this new business and that there's an opportunity there for them to help you. That way you don't have to really ask them for anything. You just kind of reinforced with this big party that you've got this new thing going on. And the last was, what is the ratio / percentage of revenue to net profit for each business that I should be aiming for? Generally speaking, I'd like to look at 20% as the net profit after paying yourself. So if you're paying yourself a market rate for the work you do as the CEO or as the guy who's doing the work or whatever different roles you play, once you're paying yourself for all those roles, if you're netting 20%, like that's the ideal. You've got a solid business at that point. If you look at all of the returns and the filings of like big public companies and everything, it's always 20%. Somehow that's always the way it works out. So, after you paid everybody everything, don't fall into the trap of thinking you're making 20%. Oh, I'm doing good, but you're not paying yourself for the time and the work you're actually doing as the guy who's doing the work. Think of yourself as an independent third party. How much would you have to pay yourself to get you to do this work? Get that paid, then 20%. 20% of revenue, that is, just to clarify. All right. Next question. Marcantonio Sanfilio. What system did you use or still use to manage your time and stay focused as it relates to getting things done and time management? Sanfilino is a full travel concierge service company. We focus in Cartagena, Colombia, and provide travelers all over the world with a prime bespoke experience in the country, meeting the highest standards of service. I am tired of winging it, and as it relates to getting things done, I want to be more focused and strategic. Can you suggest ideas on how I can do this based on your experience? Thanks so much. Yes, I absolutely can. And I definitely use a system. That system is called the theory of constraints. You need to be perfectly clear on what your constraint is that's going to help you drive the business forward. You need to know exactly what thing is going to make the difference. Because a lot of times what people do is they end up focusing their attention on the things that they are able to do. Like, I can do this, so I'm going to keep myself busy doing this thing, when in reality, the thing that really makes the difference is something else. So I would read the book, The Theory of Constraints, which is called The Goal by Elijah Goldratt. The Goal is the name of it. It's about the theory of constraints. Understand the theory of constraints very well. They talk about it in the context of manufacturing and system, kind of like processes, but it applies to every other part of your business as well, even things that are not just manufacturing, but the idea of like, there is something within my system of a business which is holding the business back. What is that? You have to answer that question and then put as much time as possible into that. And all the other stuff, you either let it go or give it to somebody else or don't do it at all if it doesn't really matter at this point. Put your attention where it needs to go. Then you don't have to worry about overloading your time, because probably right now my guess would be most people spend 0% of their time on the constraint. So if they put any attention on it, they're making leaps and bounds in terms of productivity as they move forward. Next question. Kelly Killingsworth. How crucial is it to level up our wardrobe to match us as we level up? I am the owner of a licensed excavation company in Northern California. Last year, I really worked on leveling up my mindset, my inner circle, and everything that I do. Currently, my wardrobe is denim jeans and a grunt-style shirts, mostly. I feel like I have outgrown my current wardrobe. I'm a 38-year-old male who is looking deep at who I am and who I want to become. How important is it to look the part? As we continue leveling up, I feel the need to have a business casual look, like denim with a sport coat and nice boots, versus the labor construction worker look. Yeah, I'm glad you're thinking about this stuff, Kelly. This is I don't think there's a right answer of what you should look like. Like, I don't think there's like if you dress this way, you're going to get more work because of X, Y, Z. I think the important thing is that you, if it's something you're thinking about, that you're deliberate about it. Just like every other part of your business, how you come across and present yourself is important. For example, I'm wearing this like athletic shirt because this is kind of what I wear all the time. I just as easily could be wearing a blazer with a button down right now, but that's not me. That's not my brand. That's not my personality. That's kind of what I'm comfortable with, and it's also a conscious choice. I've made that choice to be comfortable with that and be okay, and that's the person that I am. If you want to make a different choice, that's great too. I think you just need to be clear that you've made a choice so that you are, I don't think it has as much to do with the outside world making a judgment on you. It probably has more to do with how you then present yourself, like psychologically, out into the world when you've made those choices and you feel good about the image that you've decided to portray, so that it's deliberate. So yeah, I would say if you're feeling those things, then go for it. Absolutely. Last question. Kelly Killingsworth. How do we create a great company culture? Kelco Construction is an excavation company in Northern California. One of our goals in early 2024 is to create an awesome culture for employees and clients. We really want to take the best care of our Kelco family. We don't know how to create the culture. We don't know the steps, what processes work to create an awesome culture. We believe that by creating an awesome culture, we will really start to see some amazing growth. Thank you for taking the time to answer our question. So, yes, I have a good reference for this too. One of my favorite kind of culture books that is very easy to get started with and to implement and is very effective is called Fundamentally Different. It's a book. There's a book called Fundamentally Different by David Friedman. David Friedman owned an insurance company, and he grew it fairly large, and he basically got a premium over market rates when he sold it, a premium of $10 million, meaning he probably ended up with, like, call it 60 million when the actual price was 50, but he got an extra 10 million because his culture was so awesome. And this book explains exactly how he handles his culture. Long story short, a lot of times what people run into from a culture perspective is they present like this big picture culture. Okay, what are we? Who are we? And they tell all these big stories, but people don't know how to bring that down to like a concrete, what does that actually mean? What do I have to do with that? And Fundamentally Different talks about how you connect your behavioral objectives as a culture, as a company, with these more lofty sort of like cultural directives that you would kind of put out there, you know, whether it's vision, integrity, all these words that are kind of generally don't mean anything unless you define them. So anyway, I think that Fundamentally Different by David Friedman is a great book, which is a great place to start to kind of get everybody going in the same direction. All right, I think that's it. Great to see everybody. Always, as always, reach out if I can be of help to anyone. Otherwise, talk to you later.